do you really want to be a product designer? Because I know some people get into it because they think the money's great. Some people get into it because they're tired of their old career and they think this is the best path. Some people get into it because they feel like they can have, better have data to back up some of the decisions that they're making. Yeah, you can have all those things. You can want all those things. And sometimes you do have data to back up your decision making. And your decision can still get vetoed. So just be ready for the veto. Be ready to have tough skin in this game. If you don't have alligator skin, annihilator gators on, if you don't have no gator skin boots on, you ain't gonna make it, man. What up, unicorns? What's up? It's your boy Eric Abram, and welcome to another episode of the Ugly Unicorns podcast. Man, I'm inconsistent as hell. Look, man, it's been a hot minute since I've done one of these. I know I said I was going to be consistent, but man, you have no idea how busy it gets being a product designer for a startup. You have no idea. Maybe you do. Maybe some of you do. Maybe some of you don't. I don't even know. But I've been doing that. I've been doing a lot of different things. Doing a lot of mentoring and coaching lately, helping people with whiteboard challenges, asking questions, doing portfolio reviews, just trying to help people get in the geezy, man, because it's a struggle out here in the game, man, when you're trying to just do a bunch of things. So I've been doing that, which has been pretty fun. People go to the website to book a session with me or whatever. And, I try to help them out. At the end of the day, I can only offer the knowledge that I know. So, helping people out do that. So I did a few whiteboard exercises with a couple of people. Some of those went really good, actually. A lot of people have a thought process. They're sort of using the system that I have in place or a version of it. So that's pretty cool. So I basically give people a prompt. They go through the exercise, and some people do pretty good. Some people don't. I mean, I can't hit every ball at bat either. Am I saying that right? I can't score every touchdown. What I'm trying to say? Look, man, sometimes coaches don't make the best players. That's all I gotta say. There's been some times where I've done whiteboard challenges and I don't pass them. It just depends on whether or not I'm feeling it, whether or not I want to do this whiteboard challenge or not, whether I even want the job, or they're just going in just for practice. Sometimes the people in these challenges, they're not the most interactive. So I have people, talk to me like, oh my God, I went to this whiteboard exercise and basically they just ask me, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? And that's happened to me too. I'm just like, yo, this is supposed to be a collaborative exercise. I'm asking all you guys questions. I'm doing the things, but you're not even trying to help me out. You're just making me build this whole thing off an assumption, which is kind of strange. So, just asking someone, what do you think? Every single time I ask a question is not going to make for a good experience for that particular person. It also could be a red flag on like, okay, if this is how it's going to be now, is this how it's always going to be? Where you come to somebody and you want some help and they're like, well, what do you think? Bro, I'm trying to spit ideas off with you. Like, yes, I know it's what I think, but I'm trying to understand, like, what do you think? You know what I'm saying? Because, like, I always tell people that trying to design in a vacuum is a fucking nightmare, dude. Like, you need help. You need other people to come along with you in this kind of a journey, man. So, being a UX designer is difficult. And maybe that's the topic of the day. Is like, do you really want to be a user experience designer? Do you really want to be a product designer? There's so many freaking job titles out here, man. I don't understand why. And it's a very interesting thing. Oh, I found an article, man. I wish I could find it, but maybe I'll put in the link below if I can even find it. But basically, how they describe a product designer and UX designer was a UX designer goes into more of a waterfall type of experience where it's not super agile, where you are basically, you're gathering all your requirements, you're doing your research and all your data, all these other things, and you're trying to mitigate the risk. You're trying to make sure that you are designing the thing that you need to get done. Meaning that, maybe you're designing something that's net new. So they kind of describe it as not a graphic designer. that was in my past. A UX designer basically is someone who is designing something that is new. So therefore, you need to get all your requirements up front. You need to make sure you get everything that you need to get so you can actually make the right decision on what you need to make, right? So like that's like the front part. That's like the thing that you do up front is more of a waterfall thing. And then they describe product designer as someone who comes in the process, who's iterating on this particular product, who's trying to make it better and better. And therefore, you're making all these little small changes. You're doing more agile approach. You're just moving fast and quick to try to make the best experience out of what's already been created. And as I think about that, I'm like, yo, I agree with that. I wish I could find this article, man. Like I'm gonna type it in real quick. But yeah, that was like the difference. Let me just type in the difference between. I can't even spell, bro. Difference between UX designer and product designer. Watch this article not even pop up after I already find it. Let me just see. I think it was a what was it? A Medium article. Now watch me not be able to find this. I wish I would have saved it. I kind of remember what it said. If I can't find this article right now, I'll try to find it for you guys later to put in the description below so you can kind of go and see the difference. But yeah, this is not the website. Definitely. This looks like a spam. A spam? This looks like not spam as in like the stuff you eat. It's like spam as in you're trying to get my deets, bruh. Don't try to get my details. Let me look this up. Where I got it at. Thought I saved it. Types of info. That's not it. So basically, I'm gonna try to find this article later for you guys to read. But basically, that's the two main differences between a UX designer and then a product designer. And as I'm working in a startup environment, this is, I think it's sort of true, where you're basically trying to make the best experience possible for the product that's already been created. That even goes with having maybe even new features being added. Sometimes these features are already, predetermined. They already thought out by the business, et cetera. You just got to go and execute. So that in a sense could be a place where you want to kind of be a UX designer in that aspect. But at the end of the day, it's like you're basically just adding on to an already predetermined product and experience. So maybe you don't need to go and, do a persona. Maybe you don't need to go in and do all this heavy research and data analysis. Maybe you can just already take what you already have and just help you make a good decision going forward for this new feature you're trying to add. And so I find that very interesting. And that maybe that kind of clarifies some things between the differences between a UX designer and a product designer. At the end of the day, I feel like they do the same shit. At the end of the day, like, I know there's this whole, debate about left and right and left, up and down, green and black. I mean, green and black, green and red, my colors, black and white, whatever. But I do feel that UX designers and product designers are the exact same fucking role. But at the same time, I do kind of see the clear differences. If you look at it in the way I just described, I kind of get it. Because working at a startup, that's kind of what you're doing anyway. You go to a startup, they already have sort of an idea. They maybe already have a product already in place. So you're just trying to iterate and make that product really good. And you're going to do some of the core things that you're going to do anyway as a UX designer. You're going to get some data, whether it's qualitative or quantitative. And you're going to, take those two and try to find the why behind the actual data, which is something that you should do. And yeah, I get it. But at the same time, it's like, are they really that different? They're kind of the same. It's like, yo, I'm tall and you short. but we the same though. You just tall I'm just tall and you short. Like I don't get it. Anyway, I digress on that, man. I just wanted to bring that up. So it all goes back into my my thought. So I've been thinking a lot lately on being a product designer, user experience designer, or whatever the heck you want to call it. I've been thinking a lot lately about the actual position and all the things you have to do. Um, it's a struggle bus, man. It is tough. And that's what people don't tell you, that it is sort of hard being a UX or product designer. You know what? Going forward, I'm just going to call it product designer because a lot of startups are starting to adopt this type of title. A lot of big companies are starting to adopt this type of title. So going forward, I'm just going to call it product designer. But even though it's the same thing, I'm just going to call it product designer. But as you think about it, it's like you are basically, as this could be different from most people, but excuse me, I look at it like it is hard being a product designer because you got to deal with a lot of things, and a lot of things could be office politics. It could be people's preferences, stakeholder preferences, and because of that, there's a lot of things that you have to fight for and argue over and try to get through it, and to a point where you just don't care anymore. You're just like, all right, man, whatever you want, because I'm sitting here. I'm trying to give you the psychological reasons why I made these decisions. I'm trying to give you the data behind these decisions, why we're making these decisions. But then you're still fighting me, saying, you know what? You just don't know what they want. You just don't know what they like. Just go for it. Do it. Just do it. Just do it. And that's gonna be tough on somebody, because at that point you're not really allowed to do your job, in a sense where you get hired to do a certain thing, and you go and do that thing. You make sure that you talk to users. You're getting data from them. You're getting data from the analytics team. You're trying to see why things are happening on a certain page. That you're talking to users, and somebody comes to you and says like, that's cool, but just make the thing that we want to make, and just put it out there and see what happens. And just, it makes it sort of tough to do your job. Then at the end of the day, you're arguing to why you made certain decisions. You're fighting over different things. People have their own opinions that's not backed by any data. They're just going off instinct or whatever they think might be the best, even though they never talk to anyone. Or if they do go and talk to someone, they talk to one person. They're like, "Oh, I talked to my dad's dad, whose mother's father used the app, and they said that they're having troubles doing this, and they're trying to make a decision based off talking to one person who's like 3 or 4 people removed from them." That is also kind of weird and strange. And sometimes it's a person who's not even a designer. Sometimes they're a person who's not even your direct stakeholder. It could be a person who's on another team, who's in another division, who did this weird thing, and it's like, yo, where are you getting this from, and why are we trying to make a decision based on this information that you've gathered? I get it that we want to get feedback, but we need to do feedback in the proper channels. Like, we need to go and talk to more than one person would be great. Like, we're gonna make product decisions based on my grandmother's sister's brother, who used the app once, who's like 80. We're gonna make a core decision based off of that. Come on, man, give me a freaking break. And that is some of the annoying shit you got to deal with when you become a product designer, man. I know it sounds like I complained, but man, these are true experiences, and these are things that people will not tell you, because when you're going through this boot camp, and on the outside looking in, it looks like user experience and product design looks like this all cool, grandiose thing, because you don't have to have a background and certain expertise to even break into the field. You don't have to be a quote unquote like designer to get into the field. Being a designer helps. I get into a reason why that is, but That's why our field is so attractive because they let anybody and anyone in the game. um, Sometimes that should not be the case. Sometimes some people just shouldn't be allowed to be in the game. Yes, I wanted to be a freaking, Olympic track athlete, but I don't have the talent to go and do it. So therefore, I cannot go and play that game. Even though I ran track, I did all those things, I did not get to the point to where I was a professional. And so I look at it like, if that makes any sense, I'm looking at people's backgrounds and say like, yeah, your background is cool, but it's not really that relatable into getting into the field. And that's where all these boot camps come into place. And that's where all these cohorts come into place to try to help people get into that. But at the same time, they're doing themselves a disservice because they're neglecting some of the core things that go into it. But I just think about it like, okay, you want to be a UX designer because outside looking in, like one, any background you can get in. Two, they always say like, you don't need design skills. You can just, be a core UXer, or you can spin off and be a researcher or whatever. And then, you just got to do the deliverables. Like you talk to stakeholders, you're talking to developers, you're just making these, these artifacts, and you're just going to think like, oh, I talked to my stakeholders. I'm just going to make artifacts. I'm just going to bring in some user information. I'm going to do, personas. I'm going to do, user journeys. I'm going to do wireflows. I'm going to do wireframes. I'm going to do mid fidelity, high fidelity, prototype. You just think you're going to make things, and that is it. I'm here to tell you, you're doing more than just making things. You need to be a freaking salesman. You need to be a freaking negotiator. You need to be a freaking a Shark Tank guy. Like you got to be able to like read numbers and read the business and understand those things. And if you're not good, and you need to be able to talk to people, relate to people, get people on your side, convince people to come across the aisle. Like, hey, I need an advocate for this design. I need you to help me because you got a bigger voice than I do. It's a lot of that shit going on that nobody talks about. Nobody talks about it. And luckily, I have the skill set to make that happen, but a lot of people don't. So if you're one, and also you have to be personable, gotta be a people person, you gotta be able to like to work with people. Not saying that people who don't have those traits or qualities can't do it. It's just gonna be tougher for them if you're not innately a person who's a people person, a person who really likes to go out and talk to individual. If you're more of a wallflower at a party, maybe user experience is not for you. Maybe you might want to go into like development or research or something like that. But even in research, you still got to present your findings. You got to still let people see like, oh, this is what we did. Maybe we should move in this direction. Maybe convince them. But at the end of the day, you do all this work and you still have to convince people. You still have to persuade people. You still have to manipulate people into going in the direction that you need to take the application or product in. And it's crazy that you have to do all these things because you have to do all these things to convince the people on the other side who make the decisions that this is the right direction to go. Because at the end of the day, those people can say like, no, we're going to go in this direction. Fuck the information that you just delivered. Fuck the data. We're still going to go in this direction. You're like, why did I just spend all this time doing this, gathering all these details, gathering all this research, gathering all this data? Why are you wasting my time? And so therefore, the stuff that you do that makes you a core UX person gets devalued. And therefore, you're just basically looked at as a UI designer or as a person I interviewed with one time, a mock-up monkey. Yo, shouts out to you. I don't know what you want me to say your name or not, but a mock-up monkey. I don't want to be a mock-up monkey. I just want to make pretty things. I don't want to just make UI designs because like I wasn't hired just to be a UI designer, right? I was hired to come in and do product design, which encompasses all the things. But I think what really messes us up is the name. It's the title. It's the job title. People hear design and they just say That's all you do. You just design, right? Like get the designers in here. Get the designers in here. Because all they can see is like, oh, can we make the button this color? I'm still dealing with that shit. I'm still dealing with that shit. I'm still dealing with people when I present work, they're like, oh, I don't like that color green, or I don't like that color blue, or can we not use the color purple? Bruh, I don't care about the colors. I just can we talk about some of the value? Can we talk about does this flow make sense? Does the information on the page make sense? Does the hierarchy make sense? Are users gonna get confused if they read down this page? Does transitioning from this screen to this screen make sense? Are micro interactions, do they make sense? Like, can users find the information that they need to find? Are users super lost when they come to this, this application or website? Can they find the things that they need to find? Is our information architecture clean? Does it make sense? Are users super confused? Should we do a card sort? Like, can we get past colors? Bruh, can we? Why? Because at the end of the day, this should be no talk of like colors if you already have an established design system. If you already have an established design system, all that shit has already been thought about. But I empathize with people who don't have a design system because I've been at companies who don't or just starting to make one where they're trying to define all those things. So all they can think about is the top level cherry on top items that they don't have instead of looking like, at all the things I just mentioned. And so that's sort of the struggles of being a product designer. It sounds like, oh, that doesn't sound too bad. Yeah, it doesn't sound too bad if it's like happening once. But when it's happening, I don't know, 3 times, 4 times a day, it gets old, bruh. It get old. Let me just say it get old, bruh. Like, but it is what it is, man. It is what it is. And that's a part of it. And you got to be able to, one, handle those things, navigate those waters, play those Game of Thrones, play that politic game. Because at the end of the day, it's all about that. People might say like, oh, our company, we're not politic, we're not political. I'm not saying like political as in, red or blue. I'm talking about political as in like positional hierarchy within an organization. Like this person here said we should do this, so we should do this. Instead of challenging that person, saying like, well, why should we do this? Where are you getting this information from? What are you basing this off of? Like, why are we going this direction? Can you give us some more insight into that? Versus just saying, just go and do it. That's what I'm talking about. And so you got to be able to navigate those waters. And can you navigate those particular waters? Because like, look, people think that, on the outside looking in, as I keep explaining, it looks like just a, canoe going across a pond. Very smooth waters, not much disruption. I can get the A to B. It's all good. Versus, dude, we're in the fucking whitewater rapids and shit's everywhere. Like, if we're zigzagging down the river. We're freaking flying up. We're bumping out. Someone's falling out of the thing raft. Someone's got to get pulled back into the raft. It's crazy out here. And that's what it is. And that's how it is, man. Y'all don't even know. My audio speaking. But, y'all don't even know, man. It's not smooth sailing going across a pond in a canoe. You're whitewater rapiding. If you're into that excitement, get in it. If you're not, don't do it. But so I'm saying is like, do you really want to be a product designer? Because I know some people get into it because they think the money's great. Some people get into it because they're tired of their old career and they think this is the best path. Some people get into it because they feel like they can have, better have data to back up some of the decisions that they're making. Yeah, you can have all those things. You can want all those things. And sometimes you do have data to back up your decision making, and your decision can still get vetoed. So just be ready for the veto. Be ready to have tough skin in this game. If you don't have alligator skin, annihilator gators on, and if you don't have no gator skin boots on, you ain't gonna make it, man. That's all I gotta say. You gotta be tenacious. You gotta be hungry. You gotta be resilient. You gotta be able to take your feelings out of your design. You gotta be able to not get married to your work, because if you do, you will get your feelings hurt on a day-to-day basis. And that will lead to what? What do people always say? Burnout. It will lead to burnout. And, some people attribute burnout into, I'm going over a lot of topics here today. Some of these I might cover later on, but some people attribute burnout to too much work. Like, oh, I have too much on my plate. I can't get to it all. Sometimes that's not even the case. Sometimes it is, and sometimes it's not. And the one reason why it could not be, somebody brought this up. Credit to you. I'm not gonna say your name, but somebody brought this up. This is not me, but I agree with it. Is that you are not allowed to do your job, and that's what leads to burnout in certain situations where you get hired to do a certain job. They're not allowing you to do that job. You're doing a job of something else, and you weren't hired to do that. You're gonna feel like, well, why the fuck am I here? Until you keep doing it. You keep doing it. You keep doing it. You keep doing not your job for so many months, so many years. You're gonna get tired of it. You're just gonna freaking leave and go somewhere else where you can do the thing that you got hired to do. So that might attribute to burnout. But I'm saying all this to say is, if you really want to be a user experience designer, there are more product designer. Look, I'm even getting confused. I even said going forward, I was going to call it product design. I'm once again saying user experience design. You know what? I'm saying both. I don't care anymore. But anyways, they're interchangeable now. They're like, flat tires and tires. One's full, one's not, but they still work if you need them to. That makes sense. What are you talking about, bruh? Flat tires and inflated tires? Yeah, you know what? Whatever. All I'm saying is like, when you get into this arena, I'm thinking a lot of like battle and fighting references. Maybe because that's the world I live in right now. Like, I don't know. That's the only way I can describe it. Look, I'm not a rainbows and butterflies guy. I'm a jujitsu unicorn. All right, that's what I do. I'm a jujitsu unicorn. Not like jujitsu unicorn as in like I'm like a phenom in jujitsu, because I'm definitely not. But like I'm a jujitsu unicorn as in I like jujitsu and my brand is unicorn. But you get me. Whatever. Man, I keep going off on these tangents, bruh. Anyways, what I'm saying is this. Fuck, I even forgot what I was saying. Honestly, I forgot what I was saying. Somebody rewind the tape. What I'm saying is, to be a UX designer, you're doing more than just the things you were taught. You might even be doing less. And it's not linear. And it's not like this A to Z 1, 2, 3, 4 type of thing. You might go from A to K to A to C, or B to Q. I don't even know my alphabet. But anyways, you're gonna hop around in this process. As long as you have a process, you'll be straight. And so you need to do other things besides think about your deliverables. You need to be able to, one, speak to people, motivate people, inspire people, get people on your side, all those different things. Sell your idea, be able to tell a story and why your idea makes sense, and back your information up with data. Even though people might use your data, people might not use your data, you need to have some sort of data to make your decisions going forward so you can make the right decision. And sometimes in this world, you don't have time to do any of that. Sometimes in this world, you might just be tasked with just making the thing and putting it out there and seeing what happens. That happens as well. Sometimes you don't have time to go and do these, especially at startups. Sometimes you don't have time to go and do all this data and collect all this information and test with users and et cetera, et cetera. That could actually bog down the process. If you're trying to get something out the door, that could bog you down. And you don't want to be the person who's the bottleneck of the person, or you don't want the ball in your court for way too long, right? You want to be able to pass the ball along, kick that ball along. And so sometimes you don't have time to do those things, which is fine. But just let me know why we're doing it this particular way so we can go back to doing it the right way. Because if you're always constantly just making things, putting it out there, making things, putting it out there, you're like, yo, why are we not trying to figure out what the users actually want? This sounds like more of a business side of things, which is fine, but I need to understand it all so I can make a good decision. Okay, if this is a case where we don't have time to go and collect information, research, and talk to users, what's the business goal? What's the business outcome? What's the kind of the KPI behind this? And what's the OKR like? Are we trying to increase growth, revenue, acquisition? Like what are we making that's going to help reach that, right? If I know that, that's going to help me make decisions on my design and my work that I'm trying to create. But if you're just saying it, just go make the thing, that kind of leaves me feeling like a graphic designer. I'm like, okay, sir, I will go and make the button color blue now because you said to make blue. I'm going, I don't know if I have an accent, but yeah, well, that's how it is. Either way, for me, it's fine because being an entrepreneur and a business owner, like I don't typically take the time to, go out and talk to users and do things like that because I'm trying to move quickly in a market. I'm just trying to put out a video. I'm trying to put out a podcast. I'm trying to put out something just to see what happens. I get it. I look at both sides. Some people can't do that. I can say like, okay, great. If I'm not sure, maybe I might go out and get some information, get some data. But if I'm sure, I might just build a thing, see what happens, right? So being able to see both sides might help you. It might help you make decisions in ways that other people can't. So be willing and understanding that sometimes you can't do the core UX process. That's why I say UX is not linear, man, because sometimes you're going to skip all the things before the visual stuff. And sometimes you're going to do all the things before the visuals and never even get to the visuals. That might be handed off given to somebody else. So you got to be able to do both at the end of the day. That's all I'm saying. Nothing too crazy and just something light. But at the end of the day, it's like, do you really want to be a user experience professional? Like, think about it. Like, really think long and hard about the things I talked about today and assess, like, do I really want to get into this field? Because on the outside looking in, it looks glorious. It looks awesome. And another thing too is what people won't tell you is that I don't know how many times I got to tell this to people. New designers, old designers, young designers, green, blue, purple, pink designers, purple designers. Look, purple belt designers. All I'm saying is like, look, the word design is in the name. If you go to, maybe if you go to a big company, you can become a specialist. But if you go to a smaller company or a startup, you're going to be sort of a generalist. You're going to be able to do everything. That's why product designers, they're sort of like generalists. They can pretty much run the whole thing. That's why I call them like full stack product designer, because you can run, you can build experience from start to finish. Not like coding it, but you can go out and do your own research. You can go out and do your own wireframe, prototyping and testing and all those different things and mock-ups. You can do all those things versus just doing only the visuals or only just the UX or only just the research. You can run the full gamut. I think that's why they call it a full stack. Don't quote me on that, but that's my definition of a full stack product designer. Is like you're able to own the product from start to finish, and even help with documentation for development, meaning that you can work with your developers, whether that's annotating your mock-ups or really helping them understand, why certain things should move this way, doing interaction design concepts and prototyping that way for micro interactions, just things like that. So to really think about it, like I know a lot of people, they spend thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars on these boot camps. And sometimes they don't know why they're doing it. Sometimes people do know why they're doing it. And sometimes people get into the boot camp and they realize like, oh, I don't really want to do this shit. It's kind of too late. I spent $15,000 on this. Or they graduate. They realize like, oh my God, it's super dang hard to get into this field because everybody always wants a senior designer, not a junior designer. especially for like small places, like they want senior designers because they're able to come in and do things without a lot of help versus the junior. You got to really educate them. Like you might think, oh, I'm already educated. I took a boot camp course. Yeah, that's great. That's a good first step, but it's not your last step. It's like going to college to get a degree. Like it's a good first step, but as soon as you get that first job, you're like, oh, I don't use anything that I learned in school. Like you might use some things and not all things. And just that's what I'm saying is like, and sometimes you go into these boot camps and you graduate and you never get a job at all. 1 year later, 2 years later, you're still not working in UX. I know some people from experience have gone through that. So you gotta be willing to accept the pros with the cons. You gotta be willing to accept the good with the bad. So that's the one thing I look at too is like, yes, let's say you did make it. Great. Shouts out to you. Now are you able to do the the conversation part of it, the convincing part of it, the presentation part of it, the selling part of it, the negotiation parts of it, the compromising parts of it, the collaboration parts of it. Can you do those things now? Some of you're going to struggle. I'm just be honest. Some of y'all going to struggle with this. And it's fine because you can work on it. You can work on it and you can work on it. You can practice this. It's not the end of the day. Those things you can work on. And also, are you a nice person? Maybe you can't teach that. Are you personable? I don't know. Maybe you can't teach that. Are you an outgoing person? I don't know. Maybe that's not in you. Maybe you don't have to be that person to be successful. But you might feel a little trained at the end of the day, as most people say. So that's what this whole podcast is about, man. This is more of a rant on my side because there's a lot of things in my mind. I can't speak to it all just yet, but maybe I will give you the whole hood scoop on why I feel certain ways on certain things. It could stem back from 2010 when I first started out doing design, or it could stem from last week. I don't know. So yeah, that's what I'm talking about, man. It's like, do you really want to be a user experience designer? And if you still do, shouts out to you. Congratulations. Go to uglyunicorns.com. Book a session with me. I can help you out even further. But if you don't, there's nothing wrong with that. There's no shame in that. Look, I done spent money on shit that I didn't finish. It's fine. Bruh, I went to Full Sail University to get my master's degree, right? Around 4 months into it, I was like, man, fuck this. I'm not doing this. I'm not getting an MFA at Full Sail. Granted, I've already paid 10 grand to get into it. It's coming up second semester. It's like, do I even want to finish this? Probably not. Granted, I had a 4.0. So it wasn't like my grades were slipping. Wasn't like I didn't grasp the concept that the teacher was teaching. I was just like, yo, I don't want to do this. Like, I just don't. This is killing me. This is a nightmare. Granted, I didn't got in. I didn't pay my money. I got my student loan, everything. And I was like, you know what? Getting a master's degree is not for me. Even though I had a 4.0 after 4 months. Sometimes you gotta be willing to look inside yourself and be like, you know what? This ain't for me. And I'm not trying to persuade people in any direction here. I'm not trying to persuade you not to go into it. I'm not trying to persuade you to go into it. I'm just trying to make people look inward and say, look, is this the right decision that I'm making for me, for my life? And if it is, congratulations. Welcome to the team, bruh. And if not, it's okay. It don't matter at the end of the day. It's just a fucking job at the end of the day. It is just a job. And that is it. Because no job is worth losing your happiness over at the end of the day. That's all I'm saying. So, with this particular podcast, I don't even have an agenda. I'm just out here talking shit. I'm just living my best life. I know that things are cooling. I know what I know. Had a good Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving to all those who had a great Thanksgiving. Even if you didn't have a great Thanksgiving, even if you didn't have a great Thanksgiving, shouts out to you. Happy holidays and all the other jazz. I hope everybody had a good time off. Even if you did not have a good time off, I really hope that you have a better week or better rest of your year. I'm gonna try to do more podcasts. I know I keep saying it. But I'm trying. The reason why I don't do it is because all the editing that it takes to make one of these is just annoying. But I bought a program that will shoot this, so I don't have to do too much editing. I can just like cut it on, record it, cut the ends off, post it, donezo. So that might be the route I go from now, because it's so annoying trying to stitch this together, edit stuff. Like, I don't care anymore. Like, yo, you get what you get with me now. Like, I'm over it. You get what you get. You get the raw, you get the real, you get the me. And so that's all I'm saying. And so I want to give a shout out to all my Patreon members, all those people who signed up for coaching calls, all the people who signed up for whiteboard exercises, interview prep, all those who signed up for portfolio reviews. I'm going to give a shout out to all you guys. Yeah, you guys, I appreciate you all for supporting the Ugly Unicorns channel, supporting the Ugly Unicorns movement. It is keeping me motivated to keep doing more content for you guys, man. I have so much to give, so much knowledge to exchange with each and one of you. Each last one of you. I think that's what I'm supposed to say. But yeah, man, I have so much knowledge to give, and I just want to help people out at the end of the day. And so with that said, guys, I'm going to go ahead and cut this off because I've been talking way too much. I'm going to play this outro. This outro ain't going to work. I already know it ain't going to work. I'm going to have to stitch this one in. Shit. Look, you take an inch. I'm trying to take a mile, man. I'm trying to take a mile here. Anyways, guys, I really hope you guys enjoyed this podcast with me, Eric Abram. And like I always say, man, follow me on Instagram, official Ugly Unicorns on Instagram. You can follow me on Twitter. Look, I just started using Twitter. That shit is still confusing. I had a Twitter account. I'm going to end this podcast soon. But I had a Twitter account back in the day, and I didn't use Twitter because it was confusing. I was like, I'll give it a couple years. That shit's still confusing, bro. Still confusing. I'm just like Twitter. I don't know how these retweets work. I don't know how these likes work, but I'm getting everything in the feed. It's overwhelming, and I'm so confused on how this even works. But if you want to follow me on Twitter, Ugly Unicorns DSG, you can go there. You can also go to patreon.com/Ugly Unicorns. You can sign up there. You can also go to uglyunicorns.com. You can go there. You can, buy some shit, support some shit, book a call or whatever. You can do all that there too. And you can also like, comment, and subscribe on the YouTube channel if you're here watching me on camera, or if you're just in the podcast land of audio, you can rate the podcast 5 stars and leave your boy a good review. All right. I know that's a lot of plugs, man. It's a lot of different things going on, a lot of different things too. And also got some things that I'm doing in the background that I'm trying to work out. I'm trying to solve some solutions here and some problems here. So I might talk about that later on in life. Maybe as I'm going forward, as I put it together. Who knows? Might even bring you along for that journey on patreon.com. We'll see. Anyways, guys, that was a podcast. This podcast didn't make no damn sense. But I hope I at least drop one gem for one of you guys so you can go make a diamond necklace out of it, bro. Are diamonds gems? Or is gems diamonds? Are rubies the same? I don't know, but it's all jewelry. Anyways, guys, I appreciate it. Once again, don't just be a unicorn. Be an ugly unicorn.